920. Makiisa sa pagbabago.
The State of the Nation address on Monday opens the 15th Congress of the land. Expectedly, the President will summarize the government he has inherited and the government he intends to pursue. The broad spectrum of urgent concerns will form the priorities, while a host of other needs would demand as much attention. Tonight on People, Politics and Power, we shall look at the history of the SONA and invite the participation of Mindanao as our fellow citizens there, like the rest of the nation, also await a new approach to the processes for peace and for development. Good evening, I'm Freddie Abando, and joining us tonight for People, Politics and Power are MON CASIPLE of the Institute of Political and Social Reform.
Electoral Reform.
It's an honor again to be with you, Mon. We have also Professor Charles Chua, historian from De La Salle University. Good evening for joining us tonight.
Magandang gabi po.
We have Aleem Guiapal from Mindanao and Managing Director of the AG Consulting and Project Director for Mindanao Youth Speak. Good evening, Aleem. And of course, Attorney Edilwasif Badiri, who graduated from Ateneo and also from Harvard, and a commissioner from the National Commission for Muslim Filipinos. And later on, we're going to have Boy Saycon, a member of the People Power Commission. So, Mon, you've seen the President sworn into office June 30, and now 3 weeks later, and next week it's going to deliver the State of the Nation address. Ano kayang tinitingnan natin na hinihintay ng ating mga kababayan para marinig sa ating Pangulo?
Well, maliwanag doon pa lang sa panahon ng kampanya, no? Yung may hinihintay na yung ating mga kababayan na mga konkreto na measures sa kahirapan, corruption, serbisyo ng gobyerno sa kanila. Ito yung mga vital in the sense na sa perception ng ating kababayan ay malaking maging kapakinabangan sa kanila mula kay Presidente Noynoy.
We have seen over the past 3 weeks, no, mula nung nag-deliver siya ng kanyang SONA, no, yung sinasabi niyang walang wangwang, walang counterflow, walang kotong. Does this send a message in terms of how the rule of law should be applied to everyone, from the President down to the ordinary citizen?
Ako, tingin ko, it's not the wangwang that's important. It's the reasoning behind it. At yun, yung rule of law. At yung concept siguro ng public servant. Kasi sinasabi nga niya, kailan ibalik sa mamamayan yung gobyerno eh. At tingin ko, isa sa pinaka-visible yun na parang signal sa lahat, hindi lamang sa mga mamamayan, lalo na sa mga opisyal ng kanyang gobyerno.
Kapag tinitingnan natin mo, 88% approval ratings, net of 83 from SWS, and when you talk of a SONA that is full of expectations, how does this define the unfolding of this presidency?
Well, I think the honeymoon is already there. The honeymoon is with the people. And as far as I know, in a democracy, that's all you need. Kaya kahit gumawa siya ng mga, sabihin natin, mga mahihirap na mga desisyon in terms ng mga problematic na mga politiko dyan, yung mga dekadil niya, I think Noynoy has enough political capital to, essentially pursue his own course. And that kind of a situation Ngayon lang yan eh. Pinakamalapit na dyan yung panahon ng nanay niya. Pero I think more than pa sa panahon ng nanay niya, malaki talaga yung kanyang political capital dito. Which I hope he will use to make the painful pero necessary decision at this time. Dahil palalampasin siya ng mga tao. Well, ang problema naman niya, mukhang wala siyang honeymoon sa mga galing sa dating administrasyon. At posible sa media. Kasi ang media...
Pero may mabait ang media, no? Medyo.
Medyo lang, pero nagugulat ako eh. 3 linggo pa lang.
May banat na.
May mga banat na. That's not honeymoon.
Don't you think that's unfair?
I think so.
Okay. Anyway, Charleston, you know, we've seen that since 1988, when President Corazon Aquino delivered her first State of the Nation address, expectations then were very high because of the restoration of democracy. But here, with the son, how different are the times of the son and the mother and the succeeding presidencies leading to his presidency?
Okay, mataas talaga yung expectation sa nung panahon ng EDSA Revolution. Pero tandaan natin, the country was so divided in 1986. Sa totoo lang. Hindi malinaw ang resulta ng snap elections ng 1986. Hindi nga natin alam kung talagang nanalo si Cory o baka nga talagang nanalo si Marcos.
Unlike ngayon.
Unlike ngayon, na very clear yung mandate, 15 million, no? So, ang nakikita ko dito, yun nga, mas malaki yung tiwala kay Noynoy. Pero, dun sa survey ng SWS, if I'm not mistaken, nakikita din natin na nakita ng tao na hindi niya masosolve lahat ng problema. So, mataas yung tiwala sa kanya, pero alam nilang hindi masosolve ng problema. Nakakatuwa itong development na ito? Kasi nagbibigay tayo ng tiwala sa isang tao na alam natin gagawin niya ang lahat, bagamat alam natin din na napakahirap ng daan na tatahakin. So, kaya, sa totoo lang, inspiring yung ginagawa niya eh. Yung pag-start sa wangwang, ang dami kong naririnig na mga balita. No? Isang pinaka-exaggerated na narinig ko, pag may nagwangwang na politiko daw, mga tricycle driver mismo, binabato nila. No, parang sinasabi nila, no, presidente nga natin eh, nag-start nung pagbabago. So, even I'm talking to people na sinasabi nila, pag tumatawid sila sa maling daanan, parang kung patawid sila, sabi nila, naku, ano na pala ito, bagong Pilipinas. No? Mahirap, pero parang nandun na parang pwedeng magbago mula from yourself, no? At medyo inspiring yung simula niya.
What should be the expectations of our people in terms of what agenda should this president or should President Aquino define for himself as a program or a roadmap, and looking at how he would enable the people to follow suit with what he intends to do in 6 years?
Be consistent with the campaign slogan. Kung walang korap, walang mahirap. Mahirap gawin, pero yung simulan niya sa sarili niya na hindi siya mangungurakot, ang laki ng difference nun eh. Ang laki ng bagay na kampante ka na yung presidente mismo, bagamat yung sa paligid niya, maaaring hindi ganon. Diba? Pero siya mismo, pwede niyang sawayin, meron siyang, yun nga, hindi mawawala yung trust ng tao eh. Yung 15 million votes, yung mandate na yun, magiging solid yun up to the 6 years kung hindi siya magkakaroon ng scandals na halatang-halata na kasama siya doon.
You know, looking at Mindanao, how much of what Mindanao can offer to the country in terms of development, should that be a perspective na dapat tignan ng ating Pangulo, because the conflict is not yet over with the MILF, and then you still have the problem of the terrorists and even armed groups in Maguindanao?
Yeah, I think one of the first primary potential of Mindanao is natural resources. We had to admit the best mining company actually now situate themselves in Mindanao. Number two, we also have the best talents. We have Mindanao State University in the area, and according to the Medco report, the highest investment rate compared to the national level is even situated in Mindanao. So number one, I think it's also obvious in the inaugural speech of the president. He said in his speech that more likely he was saying that we are ready to engage ourselves in our neighboring nation. And we still have the BIMP IAGA. Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia specifically, and Philippines are engaged into so many economic activities which the Philippine government should focus into.
Pero matagal na yung peace process. Yeah. We've had a peace agreement with the MNLF in 1997 under the Ramos administration. the past administration tried for the past 9 years nagkaroon ng MOA,
Yeah.
pero binasura because there were certain concerns that it was not within the framework of the Constitution. Ano kaya ang kinakailangan sa bagong proseso ng usapan sa pagitan ng mga MILF at saka ng gobyerno?
Yeah, number one, again, the peace process is a long process. We have to admit that. And we are bordering our lines into something that is abstract. Now, our recommendation, specifically from the youth sector coming from Mindanao, is to fuel in the economy of Mindanao. Now, one way of making people active also in the peace process and have a stake, not only the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, the Moro National Liberation Front, and other groups representing Mindanao, is for them to be enabled, and that means economically enabled. Give us employment opportunities, give us educational opportunities, and make us also a platform. I mean, put it in the mainstream of the platform of the national government.
Attorney, what should work in this administration which did not work with so many administrations since 1986? Saan ba nagkulang ang gobyerno over the past 9 years with former President Arroyo na dapat bigyan ng tugon ng ating bagong Pangulo?
I think the reason why they chose Professor Marvic Leonen as the head of the GRP panel in the GRP MILF talks is that they have to be legally creative in accommodating the aspirations of the Bangsamoro people as represented by the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, but at the same time, not violating the Constitution. And the Supreme Court decision on the MOA AD has made it difficult. But kung titingnan nyo, yung muka ng any future peace agreement between the GRPM and MILF, magkamukha lang yan ng MOA AD. Hindi na liliwas yan dyan. And with Professor Leonen, who's a respected international law expert, he will have to come up with creative legal framework for an agreement to be reached. Because if you look at the inner circle of Noynoy, Mar Rojas, Frank Drilon, these are the same people that oppose vehemently the MOA AD. And yet you have the MILF who wants to maintain the same framework. In the time of President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, halos na exhaust nila yung
all the avenues,
yung issues na related to the conflict, and it comes down to how do you make it acceptable to the Filipino general public and at the same time to the Bangsamoro people, in this case as represented by the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. But the call has always been for the Moro National Liberation Front and the MILF to unite, to be one representative of the Bangsamoro people. Because mahirap naman mag-negotiate yung GRP, isang grupo, and then sa ibang grupo na naman. I mean, remember we have a 1996 final peace agreement between the GRP and the Moro National Liberation Front. Yet, yung implementation naman yung problematic.
Medyo kulang. O kulang na kulang?
Kulang na kulang because the FPA, when it came down to, because you need a legislation to implement the final peace agreement. So when it came down to the Organic Act yung bago RA 1954, what Congress did was to water down the agreement. So yan yung reklamo ng Moro National Liberation Front.
Which need a second look and should also converge with whatever agreement the MILF will be able to forge with the government.
Definitely.
Okay, we'll continue with people, politics, and power after we pause for these reminders. We'll be back.